Hello, this is Lance Cleveland. I am the developer behind Store Locator Plus, and I'm going to show you how I develop some add-on packs using the hooks and filters. And the methods I'm about to show you are the same ones that you can use for developing your own plugins. So I'm going to jump into my NetBeans development environment here and just kind of take you on a quick tour on creating a plugin. These are plugins that install side by side with the main Store Locator Plus plugin. So there are two components: the standard README, which you can learn about from the WordPress plugin site. I just use the standard format here, just in case we ever want to release these as public domain, not strict add-on packs from the website. And then the main plugin file. The plugin file header follows the standard set by WordPress as well. So all this information you can find on the WordPress site on how to do that. So the key things here is first checking to make sure we're running in WordPress, the defined absolute path. Then we use this little section here. You should do the same thing, which is hooking into the WordPress plugin system to make sure that the Store Locator Plus plugin is active. And in order to do that, you need to call the is plugin active function. And that only works if you have plugin PHP called. So this little checkup here just lets us test to make sure Store Locator Plus is installed. Then we follow that up with a class, which is the main class that's going to be used for this plugin. It keeps all of our stuff kind of in its own little space, its own namespace, even though it's not a true namespace. It's kind of how we keep our stuff isolated. And way at the bottom here, the only thing we do as far as invoking this is hook into the WordPress init action, and then we're going to call this class the init method in it in a static fashion. And if you're not sure what static classes and methods and those sort of things are, you can look those up. It's a standard PHP way of accessing stuff inside of a class, even though the class isn't instantiated. So what that will do is create a singleton of this object. Once it's invoked, it will load up our text domain. That's for international and local support. And it also gets our product started here. It will then, as you can see, invoke the new object calling SLP enhanced map. Now this is kind of where everything really starts getting connected to Store Locator. So these two actions here are important. These are actions specific to Store Locator, and what this does is ensures that the Store Locator Plus objects are active and in memory before we start doing anything on our own for our add-on pack. That's important. If you just hook into the WordPress init, it may work, it may not work. It all depends on the name of your add-on pack. Because WordPress, if you don't specify priorities on the call stack, then your plugin, if you named it with anything, A through R, it will get loaded into memory before Store Locator Plus is loaded into memory, and then you're going to have a lot of objects and classes that you're going to need to extend Store Locator Plus will not be active. So what we do is we want to make sure that the SLP init complete is done, and then we're going to call our own initialization routine. And then once we know we're in the admin menu, which means we're an admin user, we're going to call on admin menu starting our own admin menu setup here. So anything in this SLP init complete will happen whether you're a user or an admin, and anything that's done in here will happen only for admin users. So that's kind of how we get things started. That's all we really need in our constructor, because we don't really want to do anything else until these two actions have started, and only if those actions started. So one of the things you'll see in my add-on packs is calling the set plugin method, and I'll jump down to set plugin. All it does is it connects the global SL Plus plugin, which is available to us, and attaches it to the property plugin here. So I'm always going to refer to this plugin instead of the global. I'm doing that in case I ever want to change that global name at some point in the future, or connect to different base plugin for some reason. So that's we just kind of make it a detached process by doing that, allowing us to connect to the a more generic name. But so that's kind of where we get things started in our plugin. In this case here, what we're going to do is we're using a version compare. This is just calling the Store Locator Plus version, that's a defined constant, and making sure that what I've set here in my enhanced map is met as a minimum requirement. And if not, it's saying, hey, you don't have a high enough version, then it's going to exit without doing anything else in the plugin. So in this case, this particular version of enhanced map requires at least Store Locator Plus 3.93. So this will make sure that the users are running that. If not, it will throw up a standard Store Locator Plus error message and let them know, hey, you don't have a high enough version of the base plugin, you need to upgrade. And that's what this does, version compare, standard PHP function. Set up some properties that we need. I call this register add-on, which is just telling Store Locator Plus, it puts it into an array saying, hey, here's another plugin that works with Store Locator Plus, and we use that inside of Store Locator Plus just to pass information around so that we can tell whether or not certain add-on packs are enabled. I don't use it a lot right now, but we may in the future, and I just like to have a single place to keep that stuff stored. It's not critical. And then here we go. This is all the hooks and filters that we're using in the plugin. So some of these are new just for this particular add-on pack, the enhanced map, like setting map center, that gets called whenever we're doing some processing of the map data. Here's where we change the map HTML that's going out. Adding checkboxes to save, that's a data save function for the admin panel. It's saying, hey, whenever we save the map setting checkboxes, make sure you add any new settings in the admin panel that we've done. Same thing with input boxes. So that's what these two are doing, is saving our options to the database. The filter shortcode attributes is basically extending the Store Locator Plus shortcode so that we can add our own attributes to that without actually having to hack the main code. And then when the map gets rendered, we are actually going to play with the map as well. So these are all hooks and filters that if you go over to the documentation on the main Store Locator Plus website and you go to technical docs, you will actually find over there, I'm going to bring it into view, the tech docs up under support, documentation, technical docs. You will find buried inside of there the hooks and filters all listed here, and I've started to actually categorize them because there are so many now that I'm just starting to break them down into location management and map settings and plugin management and that sort of stuff. So that's where you kind of find your guide to all hooks and filters. I do try to keep that up to date. So inside of this add-on pack, you will see that we hook into various points. So the main parts of the add-on pack, you want admin panel. You want to be able to do stuff like display settings boxes, like where to center the map. You're going to want to do things like save that data. You're going to want to talk to the JavaScript that talks to the JavaScript that renders the map. So those are the kind of the main functions, admin panel UI, save the data from the UI, as well as user interface for the end user, and be able to augment that. So using those hooks and filters, everything's done with the hooks and filters. You see way up here, let's scroll back up here. All these hooks and filters here are done for user interface or admin interface. And then here's some extra ones that we do only for the admin interface. You can see these filters here. Add map feature settings, add map settings. Those are admin panel things that we're adding to the system. And that is how we do everything. There's nothing in here that gets called directly from WordPress. It's all through Store Locator Plus through those hooks and filters. So you can see here in this particular method, what we're doing is getting the, this is a filter, and it's getting the HTML in that Store Locator Plus is using to draw the map feature settings box. So I'll bring that up here. If I go to map settings, what it's doing is it is augmenting things in the different sections here. So in this particular case, it's doing the map feature settings box, and what we're doing is we're taking the HTML that draws this box and we're gonna append this piece to it. So that's what that code is doing, and that's all done through the filters that were set up above. So we come in here, we take the HTML that comes in because it's a filter, we augment that by using some of the built-ins. We have some helpers here like creating a subheading label, using create checkbox divs and all that sort of stuff. Yes, you can just put your own HTML right in here. I use these to give it a consistent look and feel. If you look through the main Store Locator Plus code, you'll start to see more and more of these sort of helper methods built to do things like draw admin interface stuff. So that's what that section does, and that gets called when needed through a filter inside of Store Locator Plus. This does the same thing in a different section of that page. In this case, we're doing the center map at in these sort of sections here. So again, all through filters, we pass in HTML and augment it and pass it back out. So that's how all that works. Now, if you would look at some of the hooks and filters up above, you go back, look through the video here, and you'll see that we also are going to call a hook when Store Locator Plus is saving data. So when it processes the form on this page, it actually calls a method inside of Store Locator Plus when you hit Save Settings. And this is actually going to go through and make sure, hey, when you're saving checkboxes, go through here and save our checkboxes. So all these settings down here, those are only in the Enhanced Map add-on pack, and it merges those with anything that Store Locator Plus already has, and it returns that whole array. It's just a list of, hey, here's the names of all the inputs that are checkboxes. Those are different than other types of input because unchecked boxes do not get passed, and we need to make sure they get turned off. So you want to make sure you use the checkboxes filter whenever I'm doing checkbox processing. All other inputs, we use this method. It's add inputs to save. Again, you'll see a hook or filter in there, and with that hook or filter, we'll add in any of the text areas, input boxes, anything that's not a checkbox just gets augmented here. Again, these are settings only that exist in Enhanced Map, and they get added to the main array. So that's how that works. And of course, we have some other things down here, which is augmenting the map. This here actually happens to create an on-off slider. So if people check off a box, this will actually display a little slider button on the UI. This here actually allows us to take the map off completely. There's a checkbox in Enhanced Map that says, hey, don't even render the map. What we're doing here is we're simply ripping out the whole Store Locator Plus UI render map. We're just saying, hey, let's take that out of the call stack. Let's not even call it. So there are different ways that we can augment the front end. We can take stuff out of the call stack from Store Locator Plus. We can add our own things to it, both the admin back end as well as the front end. So, and here's one here where we add some features to the shortcode. We add a hide map and a show map toggle shortcode to the list. So you can see not a lot of code, 400 lines of code. We add some stuff to the admin panel. We have ways to save those settings. And by turning things on and off on the admin panel, we change how the front end behaves. And it's all done here in 400 lines of code. So that's how all that stuff works. And hopefully we've given you a little bit of an intro on how to build your own add-on pack.